Welcome back to another episode of the Marathon. My name's Mare. If you are new here, welcome. We are an accepting, open, loving community. I wanted to do a sit-down video today and share with you some of the things that have helped me recently. If you are new or if you missed my last couple of videos, we have been going through an extremely tough time in our home in the last few months. I have an 11-year-old son and he has had seizures in the last few months and has a very new diagnosis of epilepsy. And this came out of nowhere, rocked our family to say the absolute least. And it's been very tough on us getting used to it, new medication, new lifestyle, just wrapping our head around this potentially life-threatening diagnosis, and then also having, life to continue on with. Now, I'm not going to speak to my son's experience, but in this video, I'm going to speak to my experience and how I have been taking care of myself. Something that I'm very passionate about is speaking to the caregivers out there. So much of our economy and our healthcare system relies on the unpaid caregiver, whether you are a parent or you're taking care of an older parent yourself, or if your spouse is ill, or whomever, an aunt, whatever. There are millions upon millions of unpaid caregivers in our country, and I don't think that we support them adequately. That is something that I am very passionate about and look forward to doing once I am a counselor. And so, being a caregiver myself, this is obviously very relatable. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. How I've taken care of myself. And if you're not a caregiver and you're watching this, these tips hopefully will still resonate with you. It's basically things that I do, have done, continue to do to keep going in a very tough time. I've been very open and honest about a lot of tough times in my life. You can go back and watch my entire grief journey when I lost my husband at the age of 33, but that was more in the moment, raw, showing you things, whereas this time I chose to not vlog until I felt mentally stable and prepared enough to do so. Days are still very difficult, but today we're doing well, so I wanted to share this list that I came up with of things. Now, you probably know the things that many blogs or catchy reels or TikToks will tell you, the drink water, the rest, all of the things. So I'm hoping that these are a little bit different for you. Starting out with a big one for me personally is, well, I guess I should say, in case you missed, you can go back and watch the video where I really talk about how tough it's been, but it's been one of the darkest periods of my life for sure, and my mental health has definitely taken a hit, to put it mildly. And something that I have worked on for years, probably a decade, is being nicer to myself, especially in tough times. So a big one for me, the first thing I thought of to share with you is getting over not making meals. And that might sound confusing, so let me explain. I am someone who used to grocery shop on a Sunday. I used to meal plan 6 days a week, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, snacks. I would shop once and we'd be good for the week. I would try one new recipe a week, and I was always cooking stuff from scratch. That has ceased. And I got really upset with myself about it until I realized this is just a season in my life. And if you are having a season right now, that is a good reminder. This is a tough season. Seasons change, things will change. We'll get back to that. But for now, no. So I haven't planned meals in months. And look, the three of us, we're still healthy. We're still eating. Everything's fine. It's a lot of just putting stuff on a plate, I try to do the 50-50 plate, so half veg and then protein and whatever on the other half. Pretty much the same breakfast every day, which is a smoothie, pretty much the same lunch, and then same with dinner. We went through a very long period where we stopped eating out because we just weren't comfortable having Thomas out in case something happened. We are feeling a little bit safer about that now, but even that, like, not a lot of eating out, just a lot of, it's dinner time, I should eat, what can I put on this plate? So when I grocery shop, I basically have just been buying ingredients that I know can kind of go together. So for me, it's a lot of vegetables, making sure we have fruit, making sure, like, for myself, I have tofu, and then whatever else, to be honest. And that is something I had to let go of. And I remember feeling this way as well when I became a widow, because there was one point where Thomas and I were eating sushi like 3 times a week, and I was crying in therapy about it. My therapist was like, you're eating, your son is healthy and nourished, who cares? And that's really stuck with me, and I got back to that again. So getting over the not meal planning, just and all-encompassing being kinder to myself and constantly reminding myself, like, this is a season, seasons change, this will change. So I hope that that resonates with you. The next thing I want to talk about is meditation. And before you click off this video, meditation can be whatever it is for you. For me, it is sitting on a pillow and doing a guided meditation first thing in the morning, or turning one on when I am feeling very out of sorts and just listening to it, even if I'm putting on my makeup or I'm cleaning the house or whatever it is. But it is so crucial to get quiet and listen to our thoughts and check in with ourselves. We are so inundated in this world with social media, with friends, family, work, responsibilities, trauma, pain, stress. Just the world in general has been so tough, and we need to get quiet. And I know that is very scary, and I know that can be very uncomfortable, but it is one of my true lifelines and something that is a non-negotiable for me. I do it on vacation. I do it if that's the only thing I'm going to do. If I only have energy to do one thing for myself in the day, it's going to be meditate. And you could listen to it on a walk. I mean, you don't have to do a guided meditation. I am not in a place where I can just sit and be quiet. And that's not even a goal for me. If that's a goal for you, great, but it isn't for me. It's enough to just sit. And for me, that's when answers to my questions come. That's when solutions happen. That's when I can see a situation and realize it's not as hard as I'm making it out to be, but I need to get quiet in order to hear those answers. I hope that if you haven't tried meditation, you will. You can get apps. You can go on YouTube. There's plenty of options. Something else I just wrote down was mind work. And it goes back to that, like, reminding myself that this is a season. Also reminding myself that some of the thoughts I'm having are not true, and having to silence them. Like, that is not a truth. That is an opinion, or that is a hormone, or that is an emotion. That is not true. And doing that work, that mind work. Someone, or actually a few of you, have asked me to specifically talk about how I don't get completely obliterated by thinking about Thomas's future, or obliterated by my anxiety, and how I get out of that state. So I wanted to do those separately. but it is so much like paying attention to your thoughts, catching yourself. That's where the getting quiet really helps. I find talking to someone is very helpful because often it's such a big deal in my mind, and then when I'm talking to a friend or a loved one, it may still be a big deal, but that like shared pain is half pain. And that goes to my next point. This was the first time in real time where we were going through something that I actually told people. This may surprise you because I talk on the internet and I was on the radio and I have a podcast and I'm very open, but I am very private to a fault. Like, part of my inner work is getting over not feeling like a burden, not feeling like people are too busy to care. And this was the first time like that Thomas was in the hospital and I told the group chat of our family. I told some friends. That is very new for me and it felt great. It felt like shared pain. No one can do anything, which is another video I'm gonna do talking about what people did or did not do, what helped and what was hurtful. But just to not feel like you're shouldering it is huge. And in the months that have followed, for the first time, I have actually been honest and said like, it's hard, I'm struggling, I am crying a lot, I am feeling a lot of pain, I am, you know, having trouble focusing, because not only has this immense trauma been going on in our life, I am also doing practicum and school and wrapping up my Bachelor of Social Work so that I can be a counselor starting later this year. Very excited, but it's been a lot. And sharing and being honest with people has been very helpful. And that goes to my next point. Really setting boundaries and having to have priorities, and sometimes those priorities meaning that I can't show up for people the way that I would if we weren't going through a tough time. So, you know, not being able to check in with friends as much, or having to say no to things, or having to ask if we can shuffle something for me. Saying no has been a real one, and really setting boundaries, especially in my schoolwork and my practicum and my phone. I find a lot lately, like having to, you know, set the boundary of just because you text doesn't mean it's urgent, just because you email doesn't mean it's urgent, that sort of thing. So really prioritizing like, what do I need? What do we need as a family? Thinking of us as like a triangle, and like what is in this triangle, my little triangle, what's in here that's a priority, and what's out here that can wait or never happen or be asked by someone else to do. You know, and that's even something as like, I really want to wash the furniture on our deck so I can sit outside on a sunny day. Not a priority. I really want to sweep our front deck. Not a priority. And that is really hard for me, but having to just like, what is a priority? Priority a lot of the time is rest, is giving space to emotionally process something. If you're going through something hard, you are in that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode, and it is stressful. And like, I have been in that hypervigilance for years with Thomas's health and just things that we've gone through in our family. And I've really been trying to take time to calm my nervous system, rest, take time for myself, not be super busy, because I am very aware of the mind-body connection and how stress can manifest itself in disease and pain and that sort of thing in the body. Also, I've been okay with being upset. Like, it's okay to cry, it's okay to rest and be like just physically, emotionally tired, really like being okay with that. Not in a, I'm gonna wallow and I'm gonna sit in this, but like, it's okay to cry, it's okay to work through it, it's okay to be upset. Because we all know that if we're going through something and we suppress it, that doesn't mean it just goes away. That just means it festers and then it keeps coming up. So I'm trying at this time to really just feel it and allow myself the grace of being upset. Okay, the next thing, I could do a whole video on overstimulation, but I have really found in this part of this season of our life, this stressful time, I find myself very easily overstimulated. So like if the unicorn's talking and Thomas is talking and there's music on and we're driving, like it's too much. Like my nervous system just can't handle it. So, you know, I'm very aware that I can only control my actions and myself. So things that have really helped my overstimulation is very limited social media, very limited scrolling. Not social media like our marathoner group or my friends, but this, like I have virtually stopped scrolling in the last month. So things that I've been doing instead are on my phone, I'm actually reading a book, and it's like chick lit and it's wonderful, so that if I feel myself wanting to be stimulated by something on my phone, I can just read a few pages of this book. It's always with me. It's like the least amount of effort, which I enjoy. I just finished a 1,000 piece puzzle that took me 3 months because there would be weeks at a time where I would just be too busy with schoolwork to touch it, but I finally finished it and that I found great. I would just put on a light show. I've been re-watching Frasier. The unicorn and I are working our way through King of Queens, finding some ways to laugh and feel good and do something like a puzzle. Or I really got into Candy Crush on my iPad last year, and then, brace yourself, I have been playing our Switch. Who is she? Who is she? Never owned a video game system, never played video games growing up, like never, ever, nothing. Game Boy, nothing. And then a couple weeks ago, I just said to the unicorn, like, hey, you're not using your Switch Lite. Like, do you mind if I see what it's all about? And then I bought Animal Crossing and I love it. It's so relaxing. You can go at your own pace. You could just like fish or catch butterflies. And even though it's a screen, I don't find it as stimulating as my phone screen. 10 out of 10 recommend. And that's been really surprising to me. I did quickly just mention it, but I did want to say again and reiterate, finding laughter, finding levity. So whether it's, you know, a light show or the two of us, we really, like the unicorn and I and Thomas, we really try to find multiple occasions in a day to make each other laugh and keep some lightness. And something that the unicorns really taught me through this is like, we have to find normalcy, and we can't give all of the power to this diagnosis of epilepsy. We can't just live in constant fear and hypervigilance. We do have to live and love and find laughter and move through this. It looks different, and I can talk about that, but what can we do to still, you know, have a vacation or have some laughs together or have a date or give Thomas some joy, some tickles, a car ride, whatever it is that he's wanting, like fill our cups. And that's something that another therapist of mine really has instilled in me, like two things can be true. So you can be in trauma and really struggling and crying and being overstimulated and like panicked, and you can find laughter and you can find joy, and it's that balance of the two. And that's what I wanted to leave you on today. If you're going through a really tough time, it's okay to find joy and like really seek that joy and seek it out and look for it and like find a lot of weight in it, like put a lot of value in that. I think we can get so bogged down, whether we're a caregiver or we're going back to school or ourselves, we are going through some health stuff or some relationship stuff. You can just let that become everything. And I would really encourage you to also try and add some light and some levity, whatever that looks like for you, whether it's movement every day, which it is for me. I started lifting heavy weights in the last 3 months, and that's bringing me a lot of like stress release. And finding that laughter and that joy actually does lower your stress hormone. So it's not something you should feel guilty about, like you're actually doing yourself a favor. It's not just finding some stupid movie to laugh at. Like, I'm actually reducing my stress hormone right now. I recognize that these are not your typical answers. Like I said, I do those things, but we've talked about them so much. Like, I try to drink 120 ounces of water a day, eat a lot of veg, I move every day. Thank goodness it's sunny now, so we're trying to get outside. You know, prioritizing sleep. I'm in bed by 9:30 every night. Really limiting the amount of liquor and caffeine and all those things. But you've heard those 1,000,006 times. So I hope that these were a little bit different or a little bit more personalized. And I'd love to hear your unique ways that you take care of yourself when you're going through a tough time. That's it for today. Life's not a sprint, it's a marathon. My name is Mare. You can find me on Instagram. You can join the Mareathoner Facebook group as well. And I will see you for a vlog next time. We're sneaking away and I'm gonna bring you along with us. Take care till next time. Bye.